Do you have to show this to anyone, or is it just for you?
No, I'll have to splice it.
Oh.
So you'll be, everybody will know you up in Frostburg. Alright, so the first question, easy, how'd you get into your coaching, or into coaching, and what was your path?
Well, I played at Salisbury, and then Dawn came to me about being her GA for field hockey, and I had a little bit of interest in coaching, and then after working with her for 2 years as a GA, really enjoyed it. Once I had my master's, I continued there for 2 more years as an assistant while teaching elementary and middle school. And then I kind of thought I was just done with field hockey altogether. It had been such a big part of my life, and I just needed a break, I felt. And so I moved away from Salisbury, and I think I lasted until about November, and then I started coaching a club team and then a high school, and then decided that coaching college field hockey is really what I wanted to do. So then just started applying for some jobs and ended up here at Mary Washington.
How hard was that transition, from high school coaching to college coaching? How different was it?
It's different. The skill level's different. Everyone's kind of on a more even playing field, whereas in high school you have your 1 or 2 players that really stand out for the most part, and the team's kind of built around them. And now, collegiately, for the most part, you have hopefully at least 11 solid players that you can work with. So that was adjustment. I think the big adjustment is recruiting is the number one thing, and that's such a big part of what we do that you didn't have to do that in high school because they were just there.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest thing.
What does your average day look like? Walk me through your day.
Well, it depends on in season or out of season. Doesn't matter.
You can describe both if you like.
Well, right now we're out of season. Tuesdays and Thursdays I have to teach in the morning, so from 9:30 to noon I'm in our fitness center teaching 2 individual exercise classes, and then really right now we're usually answering emails is a main part of the day, catching up on recruits. Maddie and I will sit in here right now. We're talking about what we want to get done over the spring season. We were monitoring study hall hours and academics, and then they're always popping in here with some sort of problem that's come up. Might be small, might be big, you just never know from day to day what's going to happen. In season, it's a little bit more game focused, figuring out what starting 11 we're going to have, what we're going to do at practice, travel plans, upcoming games, scouting our opponents. I don't like to do the video portion of things, and Maddie's usually taking care of that. I think that's about it.
What is the ratio of coaching, actual coaching, compared to non-coaching aspects of your job?
Oh goodness, I would probably say 25% really coaching, and then 75% is something else. Rather it's answering emails. Here we're considered faculty, so we have other things that we have to do, like teaching a class. So in the spring, I don't just have to worry about my team. I also have 60 other students that I have to answer their emails and talk to them about things. So there's a lot that goes on. Then you have recruiting, trying to find tournaments to get to so that you can watch the recruits play. So a lot of it comes down to, most of it's behind the scenes, even though I think the on-field's the part I enjoy the most. But yeah, it's not a whole lot is really on-field coaching.
What's the best part of your job?
Oh, the best part of my job, I think, one is I look forward to when 3 o'clock comes around every day, because we're sitting in here dealing with emails or who knows, trying to schedule games, like, is a big thing that we do in the off season, is getting your schedule ready to go. But when 3 o'clock comes around and we're getting ready to head out to practice, like, that's probably my favorite time. But I also like to see just like the growth of the athletes from the time they step on to campus as a freshman, and just how their personality changes. It doesn't even have to be like on field skill wise. You just see this shy person come on, and then each year they gradually kind of find themselves and who they are really as a young adult. And I think that's probably the most exciting, rewarding part, because you remember who this person was when you first met them, and then where they are 4 years later. And then it's nice to even see them 4 years after that and what they're doing with their careers and the path that they've chosen. So I think that's the most important part, is the relationships that you develop with your student athletes.
What is the worst part?
Oh, I hate recruiting, I'm not gonna lie. For me, I feel like I have a little bit of like ADD, and just sitting out a field like all day long, watching game after game, I just get easily distracted. So as much as I enjoy field hockey, sometimes that recruiting part is a tough one for me. But I would say you have to do it, obviously, or else you're not going to be successful. But that's probably, and paperwork. Being a state institution, we have a lot of paperwork to do. Anytime we do any little thing, we have to have a paper trail, and that can be a little tedious, especially when you're in season.
When like you transition from your like high school coaching position to your head coaching position at the collegiate level, like what was the thing you were most surprised about that consisted of it? If that makes sense.
I think probably just like how well the team adjusted to me. I feel like Dana, their former coach, and I were completely different personalities, and I think the girls just really, their willingness to accept me and to accept the changes that I wanted to bring to the program, and knowing that it was to benefit them in the long run. So I think that was probably the best there.
Early on in your process of learning how to be a head coach or transitioning into head coach, who did you lean on for advice?
Well, Dawn at Salisbury was probably someone I talked to regularly. Now probably not so much, or a little bit more competitive, since I think I found kind of my path there. But also the former coach, Dana Hall, was someone, she'd been here, she was still here, she was coaching women's lacrosse at the time, and she just knew the ins and outs of the university. So it was always like, well, who do I talk to for this? And she would just have that person's name like off the top of their head. So talk to her. My friend that I played college field hockey with, who's a college coach, is talking to her about what she does for different things. And just other coaches in the hallway, just like their experiences are helpful when you're making that transition, or because you need them.
Yeah. Besides like the player to coach relationship, what is the most important relationship a coach can have?
I would say for me the important one has been with your assistant coach. And I've had several assistants in just my short career, but I think it's important that you find someone that you can work well with. When I say that, doesn't mean that we always have to agree. However, just showing that unified front when we're on the field is important. And someone that you feel that you can trust, because a lot of times assistant coaches are younger, they're close in age with your athletes, and you want to be able to, we want them to have a relationship with the students, but at the same time it has to be a professional relationship. So you have to be able to find someone that you trust, that they're going to know where the line is, where they don't cross that. and then someone that is also knowledgeable about the sport. Like, I like to learn from them as much as I hope they learn from me if they're coming from a different program or a different area, field-wise. Like, right now I have a player who was a defender, and I'm more attack oriented, so that's something that I look for as well. And I think that's, for me, an important thing when it comes to the success of our program is who you employ, who's representing your program.
All right. A lot of the kids in the class are actually undergrads, which I don't want to talk about, but what would you give advice, or like how would you give advice, or what advice would you give to undergrad students who are looking to get into coaching?
That's fine. I think the biggest thing is to have patience and to be open-minded. You're not going to get the first job you apply for, but you need to be persistent and not let all the no's discourage you, so that stand in your way of that like future yes. There's been plenty of times where I've applied for a job and haven't even gotten an interview, just got the thank you letter in the mail. There's been times where you take the interview. Like, I think interviews are stressful, but the more you do them, the better you get at them. It's a hard profession to get into, and unfortunately you have to start at the bottom and work your way up, and sometimes that working your way up is going to be thankless, and it's going to be you're not going to receive monetary benefits from it. It's going to be you're going to struggle for the first little bit of your career, just finding your way, but don't give up if you know that's what you want to do. I think there's a program for everyone. It's just a matter of when that program becomes open, and you have to be patient and just trust the process that's the path that you want to take.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Coaching is fun. I really enjoy it. People always ask what I would do if I wasn't coaching, and I can't think of what the answer would be. I taught physical education for 5 years before becoming a collegiate coach, and I'm I never want to do that again. I enjoy being physically active, but I don't want to be in a classroom setting. I enjoy the people I work with, and I would encourage people to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice.
Killed it.